In the deepest corners of the land, where the thick forests hide ancient secrets, there are whispers about a group of people who trade not in gold or jewels, but in lives. They are known as the Baya, and they possess the power to summon the dead, to control the unseen, and to curse the living. But what happens when one of them seeks to break the chain, to take the power for themselves? I will tell you a story of betrayal, darkness, and a power too great to control. In a small, forgotten village deep within the forests of West Africa, there lived a secretive group known as the Baya. They were believed to be witches, but their power was far greater than the common understanding of witchcraft. They were ritualists who could call upon spirits, command the forces of nature, and make sacrifices to gain strength and influence. Their magic was dark, and their rituals were ancient, passed down through generations. The Baya were not known for their kindness. They were feared by all, for it was said that no one could escape their gaze, and no one could ever betray them. They controlled everything, from the prosperity of the village to the health of its people. If you needed healing, you went to the Baya. If you needed vengeance, you sought them out. But the price was always steep. The village elders warned the younger ones about the dangers of the Baya. It was said that if you entered their domain, you would leave with more than you bargained for, your soul, your life, your very future, forever tied to the rituals they performed. One young man, Olu, had heard these stories all his life, but unlike others, he was not afraid. Olu was desperate. His sister Adama had fallen ill with a strange and terrible fever. The village healers could do nothing, and the doctors from the nearby towns were powerless. There was only one option left. Olu made the fateful decision to approach the Baya. He traveled deep into the forest, far beyond where the villagers dared to tread. The further he went, the heavier the air became, thick with an unnatural stillness. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached a clearing where an ancient gnarled tree stood. Its roots twisted into the earth like fingers clawing at the ground. Beneath the tree lay a stone circle, and in the center a fire burned with a sickly green glow. There, standing around the fire, were the Baya. They were not the frail, hunched figures he expected, but tall and imposing, their faces covered with intricate masks. Their eyes, however, glowed faintly in the firelight, and there was something unsettling in the way they moved, slow, deliberate, and in unison. Olu approached them, trembling but determined. "I need your help," he pleaded. "My sister is dying. Please, save her." The leader of the Baya, an elderly woman with a mask of polished wood, spoke in a voice that echoed like 1,000 whispers. "You wish to save her, but you don't know what you are asking. The price of life is not a simple thing." "I will pay whatever you ask," Olu said, his voice steady despite the growing dread in his chest. The woman studied him for a long time, her eyes never leaving his. Finally, she nodded. "Very well, but know this, young one. To heal your sister, you must offer something greater than her life. You must offer your own." At that moment, Olu felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. The air around him seemed to grow colder, and the green flames flickered unnaturally. "Your soul, young man, is what we need. You will give it willingly, or you will take your sister's illness with you to the grave." Olu hesitated. His heart pounded in his chest, and his mind screamed at him to run. But the thought of losing Adama was unbearable. He nodded. "I will do it." The Baya began to chant in a language he did not understand. The flames grew higher, and a strange force seemed to pull at him, drawing him toward the fire. Before he knew it, his body moved of its own accord, and the leader of the Baya handed him a small, ornate knife. It gleamed in the firelight, and the weight of it seemed to press down on his very soul. "Make the cut," the woman said. With trembling hands, Olu sliced the knife across his palm. Blood dripped into the fire, and the air hummed with an unnatural energy. He could feel his very life force being drawn into the flames, his body growing weaker with each passing second. Then something unexpected happened. Adama's voice rang out, weak and distant, calling his name. He turned, only to see her standing at the edge of the clearing, alive and more vibrant than he had ever seen her. "Olu!" she cried. "What have you done?" But it was too late. The deal had been struck. Olu collapsed to his knees, the last of his strength draining away. He tried to speak, to explain to Adama, but his words caught in his throat. The Baya closed in around him, their masks gleaming in the firelight, their eyes now voids, sucking in his very soul. In that moment, Olu realized the terrible truth. The Baya didn't need a sacrifice for power. They needed it for something far darker, something more sinister. They had not saved Adama. They had brought her to witness his fall, to ensure his soul was claimed in front of someone he loved. They fed on the despair of those they betrayed. The leader of the Baya smiled, her voice like ice. "You gave us your soul, but you did not give us what we truly wanted, young one. Your sister was never the price. You were." With one final breath, Olu's vision blurred. As the darkness overtook him, he saw Adama standing in the clearing, her eyes wide with terror. And then, she was gone. No one saw Olu again, but the village still whispers of the Baya and the dark price they exact. Adama's illness, once thought cured, returned with a vengeance. And to this day she wanders the forest, her eyes hollow, seeking the truth that will never set her free, forever haunted by the price her brother paid. The Baya live on, waiting for the next soul to offer. They say that if you hear chanting in the forest at night, it's not the wind you hear, but the call of the Baya coming for you.